Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Shadowed City podcast. I am your host, Larry, and this is The Shadows Within. Got some shows to go over and some news. Today, SPW, Carnage TV in Howell, New Jersey. Stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be epic. And we also have some other stuff regarding... So RYPW is no more. It is now the Revolutionary Show. And it's going to be streaming on Kick. Not on Twitch, not on YouTube, but on Kick. Now, for shows that have passed, we're going to go over the few that I have written down. And we are going to start with ASW Riot. And to kick off the show, it was the villain Todd Wilson versus the king of scumbags, the scumbag king, Mad King, with Todd Wilson walking out victorious. Madison Outlaw versus Juicy Badass, with Madison Outlaw walking out victorious. ASW Men's Tag Team Championships TLC tag matchup. And it was Jackson Wright and Oconee versus One Rich and Thomas, the champions, with One Rich and Thomas retaining the gold. ASW Women's No Man's Land Championship in a No Man's Land match. Sylvia Knight versus Jessie Justice, the champion, with Jessie Justice retaining the gold. Triple threat, 2 out of 3 falls. Triple threat, Jay Smoke, Tyson Storm, and the Problem One, with Jay Smoke walking out victorious. RJ versus Killian Bain, with RJ walking out victorious. Damian Briggs versus Inkslinger, with Damian Briggs walking out victorious. Fatal 5-Way, Tina Rose, Lakeisha Wilson, Amaya Bryant, Dynamite Daisy, and Haley Ramone in the main event, with Lakeisha Wilson walking out victorious. Now, we are going to go over All-Star Pro. And this was All-Star Pro Grindhouse Season 3, Episode 2. It was to kick off the show an underground matchup between Tyler Nelson and John Robb, with John Robb walking out victorious. Hannah Heights versus Britt Graves, with Britt Graves walking out victorious. Don Wildside versus King Vashon, with Don Wildside walking out victorious. Lonzo Kazarian versus Jay Smoke, with Jay Smoke walking out victorious. Y2J versus El Grande Filipino, with El Grande Filipino walking out victorious. Dominic Jason versus the Ghost J Jin, with the Ghost J Jin walking out victorious. Carlos Cruz versus Kando Dragon, with Carlos Cruz walking out victorious. All-Star Pro Grindhouse Women's Championship match, Emma Rose versus the champion Bailey Nelson, with Bailey Nelson retaining the gold. All-Star Pro Grindhouse Men's Championship, Cold Steel versus the champion Rob Life, with Cold Steel becoming the new champion to end off the show. Now, we're going to go over IZW Beatdown, which happened today. And if you want to go check out these shows, go check them out, ladies and gentlemen. They were all incredible. IZW Beatdown, Britt Graves versus Raven Moon, with Britt Graves walking out victorious. IZW Death Pit Championship in an 8-superstar brawl, Rusty Steele, Johnny Superkicks, John Wigginton, Bullet, Chaotic Cameron, KD, Rob Anderson, and the champion Aaron James. Now, the match ended because the boss ended the matchup. When it landed the results, it landed on Johnny Superkicks. So I hope he can explain what that is. If Johnny Superkicks actually gains the title, does Aaron get a rematch? You should go back to watch so you understand what I'm talking about. But he ended the match, and then when he put it in the results, it went to Johnny. So I guess that remains to be seen. Death Pit matchup, which is their version of the Underground. Reese the Destroyer took on Alexander Colt, with Alexander Colt walking out victorious. Cassandra M. Demoise versus Mona, with Cassandra M. Demoise walking out victorious. Travell Daniel and Keith Hunt, D&D versus Pharaoh and Savage, with Travell and Keith Hunt walking out victorious. Falls Count Anywhere, the Ghost J. Jin versus Buster Anderson, with Buster Anderson walking out victorious. Extreme Rules Dream versus Madison Landon, with Madison Landon walking out victorious. Corey Bishop versus Nim, with Nim walking out victorious. And to cap off the night, it was an Extreme Rules triple threat. Ghost Edwards, Jay Monster, and Andre Robinson, with Andre Robinson, the big dog, walking out victorious. Now, we had a show coming up for RCW. We have a show coming up for RCW, the PLE, Massacre at Midnight. And this is the go-home show for Burning Reckoning, brought to you by the Phantom Eddie Walker. Sylvia Knight versus Riley in a 2 out of 3 tables match. KD, the King Dominator versus Pennywise the Clown in a steel cage submissions only. Lucy Carter versus Riley. Wait. My mistake, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. We'll have Lucy Carter versus Jen in an underground matchup. Michael Myers versus Rob Anderson the Dog in a doors only match. Big T versus Paul Carter in a doors only match. Special guest referee BPW, the Fiend Champion, will be refereeing a fatal 4-way to determine his challenger for the PLE, and it will be Extreme Rules between Shinjo, Frankenstein, Noble, and the Boogeyman. And then in the main event, champions versus challengers, as Briggs and Angelina West will team up to take on their challengers, Gage Payton and Reagan Anderson, in a Tornado Tag Team Death Match. And that is what I had to go over today, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned, as there will be a War Room eventually. And stay tuned for SPW today. And we will be going over the recent IWA house show to explain those developments. I hope everybody has a great day, good night, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever y'all may be. Peace out.